Hey everyone, Nigel and Luke here, and welcome to Crime Zone. Representatives from Oregon's Portland Police Bureau are requesting the public's help this week as they seek to track down a woman wanted for the murder of her 37-year-old husband. The situation began at around 8:45 a.m. on January 26th, when Portland police were called to a home on the 9300 block of Southeast Suncrest Drive in connection with a missing man, Philip Pierce. Officers arrived and conducted a preliminary search, during which they found the residence locked. However, they decided to force entry after learning that the 37-year-old might be trapped inside. Sadly, when police entered, they instead found that Philip was deceased. A medical examiner later determined that he had died from a gunshot wound. Due to the 37-year-old's injuries, as well as other undisclosed suspicious circumstances at the scene, authorities now allege that Philip's wife, Annalisa Gold, is responsible for his death. They are currently trying to track her down on charges of second-degree murder, though so far have been unable to locate her. Portland police are now asking any members of the public who might have information concerning the case or Gold's whereabouts to please come forward. She is believed to be driving a 2015 burnt orange Toyota 4Runner with an Oregon license plate reading 501 HSB. Gold is considered armed and dangerous, and police are asking anyone who might spot her to call 911 immediately. At the time of this recording, no information has been released about the alleged motive behind the crime. Residents of a small city in Wisconsin have reportedly been left reeling this week following the tragic murders of a young couple who were gunned down in their favorite sports bar just months after getting married. The incident began just after midnight on February 1st when husband and wife 33-year-old Emerson and 37-year-old Gina Weingart were at Sports Page Bar in downtown Elkhorn. The pair were sitting at the bar where Gina worked part-time when, according to witnesses, a man came in and opened fire, hitting both of them. Police rushed to the scene after they were called at 12:11 a.m., though sadly, by the time they arrived, Emerson and Gina had both died of their injuries. The suspect, meanwhile, had fled the scene. At the time of this recording, few additional details are available about the crime, with authorities and loved ones of the victims now asking for the public's help in identifying the person responsible. So far, unfortunately, no information is available about the suspect, including even a basic description. Family members and friends of the couple have understandably been left heartbroken by the sudden and awful tragedy, especially since Emerson and Gina were only just married this past summer. According to loved ones, the pair started dating in 2020 and quickly became inseparable. Their wedding was in June of 2023, with one of their favorite hangouts being the bar where their lives were terrifyingly ended this week. Apparently, they were such good regulars that Gina had eventually been offered a part-time job there, while Emerson would often go and keep her company while she worked. Emerson's father, Jeff Weingart, called the crime gut-wrenching, saying in an interview, quote, "I can't believe that it was just her and him at the bar. So somebody saw them, and somebody had to give a description of them, and somebody had to see the car when he drove away, and they better find him." The situation is still developing. Representatives from the NYPD released a major update in the cold case killing of a mother of 5 this week, announcing that after nearly 9 years, a suspect had finally been arrested in connection with her murder. The case began back on March 4th, 2015, when police were called to a West Bronx apartment building on Webster Avenue near Alden Place. They arrived to find the body of 41-year-old Michelle Cox, who was lying in the building's stairwell. She had been shot once at close range in the back of the head and was pronounced dead at the scene. Tragically, Michelle left behind 2 daughters, ages 8 and 17, as well as 3 adult sons. After launching an investigation, detectives reportedly considered a number of theories in the case. They began with the idea that the shooting was a case of mistaken identity. However, as time went on, they switched to the incident being a targeted attack. A number of suspects were considered, including the father of one of the 41-year-old sons, though sadly, nothing panned out and the case eventually went cold. That all changed recently when authorities reportedly discovered that Michelle had connections to a local gang in the area. So far, they haven't revealed what these connections are, though the news apparently came as a shock to those close to Michelle. Police now allege that her death was the result of a gang feud. They also believe that they have now arrested the person responsible for her killing, a 34-year-old Harlem man named LaSalle Herman. According to investigators, Michelle was on her way home from the store on the day of her murder and was walking up the stairs to her apartment because the elevator in her building wasn't working. She was attacked from behind while she was in the stairwell. At the time of this recording, Herman remains in custody and is now facing murder charges. Authorities say that they do not believe Michelle and Herman knew each other. They also have not revealed how they connected the 34-year-old to the case after nearly 9 years. The situation is still developing. Authorities in Tulsa, Oklahoma say that a man is facing murder charges this week after the body of his wife was found under disturbing circumstances in the back of her vehicle less than a month into their marriage. 39-year-old Cassidy Ritchie was last heard from on January 21st when she spoke to a family member over the phone. After that, no one could get a hold of her, with police officially announcing her disappearance to the public on January 25th. Almost immediately, attention turned towards Cassidy's new husband, Chris Moreland. The pair had reportedly been married for less than a month at the time of the 39-year-old's disappearance, and family members told investigators that their relationship had been tumultuous. Police also discovered that there was a history of domestic violence between them. Following Moreland's arrest on unrelated warrants in Texas, he was questioned by investigators in Tulsa. When asked about Cassidy's whereabouts, he allegedly offered conflicting stories and gave an alibi that was quickly proven to be false. Though the timeline is a bit fuzzy here, with basically every source we've come across contradicting one another, it appears that around this same time authorities discovered Cassidy's missing vehicle, a 2006 Chrysler Pacifica. The vehicle had extensive damage to its front end and also had debris on it that seemed to be consistent with it being taken off-road. When Moreland was asked to sign a waiver for the vehicle, he refused, telling police to get a warrant in order to search it. This apparently delayed things, though ultimately authorities were able to obtain one. When they performed a detailed search, they tragically discovered Cassidy's body. It was reportedly concealed in a small space in the back of the van under a pile of clothing. Cassidy's cause of death has not been revealed at the time of this recording, though several sources stated that she showed signs of having been badly beaten. At the time of Moreland's arrest, he apparently had the only key to the minivan, which police say they believe was in his possession until shortly before his arrest. The vehicle was reportedly found near the I Don't Care Bar and Grill, about 7 miles east of the city of Catoosa. Moreland is now facing first-degree murder charges in connection with Cassidy's death. Currently, investigators say that they are trying to track down a witness, one who may have crucial information about the case. This witness is a Good Samaritan who is believed to have towed Cassidy's damaged van out of a ditch several days before it was found. The situation is still developing. Authorities in Brevard County, Florida released a tragic update in the disappearance of a local woman this week, announcing that her remains had been recovered just 1 day after she was officially reported missing, and her husband's vehicle was found on fire under mysterious circumstances. According to reports, the case began on January 19th, when Brevard County investigators received a call from the mother of 39-year-old Amber Renee Estep. The mother stated she hadn't been able to get in contact with her daughter and that she was worried because she learned she had now missed several shifts at work. That same day, police got in contact with Amber's husband, Brian Estep, who said that he hadn't seen his wife since January 16th. He explained that they had been on their way home from a medical appointment in Merritt Island when Amber had asked to be let out of their vehicle during the middle of an argument. Brian stated that he dropped her off near Interstate 95 and State Road 50 and hadn't heard from her since. Just hours after his interview with police, Brian's pickup truck was reportedly found engulfed in flames in the community of Port St. John, just a few miles north of where Amber was last seen. So far, the cause of that fire has not been determined. The following day, the case took another disturbing turn when investigators received a call from a homeowner in the community of Mims. The homeowner had found Amber's body, which was lying near Pitbull Lane just off of State Road 46, about 14 miles from where she had reportedly been dropped off 4 days earlier. At the time of this recording, many questions remain about the tragic incident. This includes the cause of Amber's death, though the case is being investigated as a homicide. Currently, no arrests have been made, and the Brevard County Sheriff's Office have declined to name any suspects or persons of interest. So far, it appears Amber's husband is cooperating with the investigation. Representatives from South Carolina's Lawrence County Sheriff's Office say that a local couple are facing charges this week after they led deputies on multiple chases across 2 counties, traveling in a badly spray-painted car that was allegedly full of animals. The whole thing started at around 9 a.m. on January 29th, when Lawrence County deputies spotted a black Honda sedan with expired tags in the town of Graycourt. The man behind the wheel, later identified as Joshua Harvey, was also driving erratically and appeared to be swerving in and out of lanes, causing police to attempt to perform a traffic stop. Rather than pulling over, though, Harvey allegedly sped off, prompting a chase. This continued until Harvey crossed over into Greenville County. At this point, deputies decided to call off the pursuit, opting instead to search the area around Harvey's home. The tactic appeared to work when the Honda was spotted again around 2:45 p.m. This was despite Harvey's comical and ridiculous attempt to fool authorities by spray painting part of the vehicle white. Even with the laughably bad paint job, Harvey managed to get away from authorities a second time when they once again decided to forego a chase due to safety reasons. It was around the end of the school day, and police didn't want to put anyone in danger. Harvey's luck finally ran out a little while later when he was seen for a third time on Highway 14 heading towards Interstate 385. The vehicle was easy to spot, not just because of the spray paint, but because his girlfriend, Rosie Smith, who was now behind the wheel, was also driving recklessly. When the vehicle was finally immobilized, officers found one final surprise waiting for them in the back seat. It turned out that in addition to the couple, passengers in the car included a dog, a cat, and 4 chickens. Harvey and Smith were arrested at the scene and are now each facing charges. Harvey was charged with failure to stop, while Smith was charged with failure to stop, DUI, 2 counts of ill treatment of animals, driving under a suspension, and other charges. Representatives from Minnesota's Anoka County Sheriff's Office say that they are investigating a terrifying triple murder this week after 3 members of the same family were shot inside their own home by men who were reportedly posing as delivery workers. According to reports, the incident began at 12:24 p.m. on January 26th when the Anoka County Sheriff's Office received a 911 call from a residence in Coon Rapids. During the call, a disturbance could be heard in the background, prompting police to respond right away. When officers arrived at the home in question on the 200 block of 94th Avenue Northwest, they were met with a grisly scene. 3 adults were found dead in different parts of the house. They were later identified as husband and wife, 39-year-old Mario Trejo Estrada, 42-year-old Shannon Patricia Youngworth, and the couple's 20-year-old son, Jorge Reyes Youngworth. All of them had died from gunshot wounds to the head. 2 young children, who are said to be Mario and Shannon's other kids, were also found at the scene, though were physically unharmed. After launching an investigation, police now say that the family members were the victims of a terrifying home invasion, one that began when they were ambushed at their door by 3 men posing as UPS delivery workers. According to detectives, disturbing surveillance video recovered from the scene shows a blue Nissan Altima pull up in front of the residence right before the attack. 3 men get out, 2 of whom are wearing uniforms, and 1 of whom is carrying a cardboard box. After pretending to deliver the package, the men reportedly forced their way inside, where further chilling surveillance video captured part of the family's final moments. The suspects demand money from Mario and Shannon before Shannon is apparently shot at close range in front of her 2 youngest children. The other 2 murders quickly follow before the suspects flee the scene in the same car that they arrived in. Police say that vehicle was later traced to a 37-year-old man named Alonzo Mingo. Mingo reportedly worked for UPS until recently. He has now been arrested and charged with 3 counts of second-degree murder, with authorities accusing him of being the gunman behind all 3 killings. It's unclear if Mingo's alleged accomplices have been identified or arrested at this time. In terms of a motive behind the crime, nothing has been confirmed, though multiple sources now allege that Mario and Shannon may have been involved in drug trafficking. According to the latest reports, Mario was actually being investigated by a violent crimes task force at the time of his murder, with investigators allegedly linking him to a storage unit containing marijuana, meth, magic mushrooms, and other drugs just 2 days prior. Police say that they also found evidence that the couple was sending money to Mexico. At the time of this recording, the situation is still developing. Authorities in Bucks County, Pennsylvania say that a 32-year-old conspiracy theorist is facing a number of charges this week after he allegedly murdered his father, then showed off his decapitated head in a video he posted to YouTube featuring a lengthy rant against the federal government. According to reports, the whole thing began at around 7 p.m. on January 30th, when police in the community of Levittown were called to a home on the 100 block of Upper Orchard Drive. They were alerted by a female homeowner who said that she had found the headless corpse of her husband, Michael Moan, in the first-floor bathroom of their residence. Her son, 32-year-old Justin Moan, was nowhere to be found, and her husband's vehicle was also missing. When officers arrived at the scene, they were able to verify the gruesome discovery and quickly made a few more. A machete and a large knife were in the same bathroom where Michael's body was discovered, and his head was found in a bedroom in the next room over. The head had been placed inside of a cooking pot, and there were blood-covered gloves in multiple places in the room. The victim's wife said that before stumbling across the stomach-churning scene, she had been gone from her home for several hours. She had left at around 2 p.m. that afternoon, during which time only her husband and son had been home. Things quickly got even more unsettling when police reportedly discovered a video connected to the crime, which had allegedly been filmed by Justin Moan and posted to YouTube. It was entitled Moan's Militia: Call to Arms for American Patriots. During the video's 4-minute and 35-second runtime, Justin can apparently be seen showing off his father's head and wearing the same gloves that were found at the crime scene. He also speaks at length about so-called deep state conspiracy theories, outlining his grievances with everything from the federal government to the Black Lives Matter movement to the LGBTQ community, claiming that they were the reason behind his actions. Moan states that he killed his father specifically because he was a longtime federal employee who is a, quote, traitor to his country, who, quote, is now in hell for eternity. He refers to himself as a militia leader and goes on to call for further violence against federal law enforcement, saying, quote, all federal agents, U.S. Marshals, federal judges, and Border Patrol are to be killed or captured, tortured for information, and publicly executed for betraying their country. Earn your place in heaven by sending a traitor to hell early. Moan's YouTube video apparently amassed roughly 5,000 views and was up for several hours before being taken down. Moan was arrested at Fort Indiantown Gap, a National Guard training base about 100 miles from the crime scene. He is now facing a number of charges, including first-degree murder, abuse of a corpse, and possession of an instrument of crime with intent. Before we wrap up, we'd like to take a second to give a huge shout-out to everyone who has made it this far into the video. Seriously, thank you so much for watching. If you found today's upload interesting and informative, we'd be honored if you'd consider liking and subscribing, as well as hitting the notification bell and selecting all notifications to stay up to date with our latest releases. If you're looking for additional ways to help support the channel, we'd love to have you join us over on Patreon. Patrons get ad-free and early access to all of our content, as well as 4 additional stories per week for each of our Crimes of the Week and Crimes of the Week International videos. You can learn more at patreon.com/crimezone, where you'll also find some of the fine folks whose names are currently on screen. All that being said, we understand that not everyone has the means to support financially, and that's totally okay. We appreciate every like, sub, share, and comment that you send our way. Once again, thanks so much everyone, and take care.